Welcome here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora on wakeupcalldt.com, your one-stop sports shop, and on mixlr.com/wakeupcalldt. Hope you're having yourselves a great morning this morning and a very, very happy welcome to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Shout out to my guy Evan. It was his birthday yesterday. Evan, my best friend, my brother, my guy, and appreciate him so very much. He's somebody that I don't really have words for, so I definitely love the fact that God gave me a brother. I love the fact that it's Evan, and I'm very honored and privileged to have him in my life. So I hope that he had the best birthday he could possibly have. And, obviously we got to talk yesterday, and I look forward to being able to see him soon. So my best to you, buddy, and I hope that you had a wonderful day enjoying life and being surrounded by love. So with that being said, here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, we're inside of the Cafe Kubal studios. Cafe Kubal is located all throughout the community for you. 3501 James Street, 324 West Water Street, 208 North Townsend Street, as well as 401 South Salina Street, all in Syracuse. And, of course, you can get to them by also going to inside of Galisanos Children's Hospital and to 343 Fayette Street in Manlius, New York. So fill your cup today with your favorite Cafe Kubal delight, or if you've never been there, try them out today and taste the difference and see what it's like to support local and have those great flavors. Also, their chocolate banana bread and all of their desserts, they're literally everything that they have. Their chocolate chip cookies, their upstate sandwich, their breakfast sandwiches. Definitely worth getting yourself out there while you're listening to the show right now and throughout the day. So make sure you do that. With that being said, we're on Facebook.com/LiveNowDT, Facebook.com/WakeUpCallDT, MixLR.com/WakeUpCallDT, on the homepage of WakeUpCallDT.com, and on YouTube.com/WakeUpCallDT. Plenty of ways to watch and listen live every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. And inside of MonPazPopcorn.com is what's popping. I have two awesome guests here for us today. We'll start things off with Papa Joe speaking on the Jaguars' goings-on, as well as Major League Baseball currently in season, in full swing, pun fully intended. We'll talk about the PGA, and of course, we'll discuss Phil Mickelson's career day, and a beautiful day. He is the only person in PGA history to have wins to have PGA championship wins 30 years apart. Also, the oldest now at 50 years old. So a lot of really cool things. He passed, I believe it was Julius Boros, who was 48, who won in 1968, I believe, in San Antonio. So we'll talk about the PGA, talk a little bit about golf and all that good stuff with PJ. And then we will move forward to Dave Pasiak, who will be rejoining the show to talk about the NBA playoffs. We spoke going into the playoffs, and now we're talking in full swing in the first round of the NBA playoffs. So we'll have a lot of great discussion with Mr. Pasiak as we've seen the teams face off against one another, the top 8 of the East and the top 8 of the West all in action in this past week. So a lot of great stuff coming up on today's show. Let's bring in the man of the hour. That's PJ. Papa Joe, how we doing?
Good morning, Daniel. Things are beautiful down here. 85 degrees, clear weather. Life in paradise, buddy.
Yeah, and enjoying that paradise, which I hope that you are very much so. How are you? Give me the litmus test. What's going on? What's the feel like down there when it comes to the Jacksonville Jaguars? How are things going down there?
A lot of good press. A lot of good press. Most of it has hit the national airways. There's nothing. There's nothing hidden anywhere. Hidden agenda. No, they're talking about most of the talk has been about Tebow and his agreed to slot on a team. Of course, he's got to fight for it. So there's a lot of there's half and half. It's pro and it's con against him. For some reason he's a polarizing figure, even though he's a Christian. I mean, he's a good guy. I mean, God, my goodness, he's a good guy. So yeah. I don't know what the people are talking about, but he's got the respect of his teammates right now. He works real hard. We know that, and I know that from watching him in high school, for crying out loud, and at University of Florida. So, Tebow was. I'm really curious to find out how they're going to use him. I pulled up the Jaguars depth chart here, and they got a lot of names on it that A lot of them I'm not familiar with, but they don't have they got Tito on there. Tight end, number 85.
And that's the thing. I mean, is how he's going to be used. But PJ, before we go there, I mean, you brought it up. He's a polarizing figure. So many people want to talk about everything about him. Why do you think that is? I mean, this man believes in God. He works hard. I don't think he's ever really had bad press. They haven't been able to find anything on him in over a decade. So why do you feel that people are so hell-bent on being negative when it comes to Tim Tebow when all he seemingly does is believe in God and work really hard?
Well, he tends to be a goody two-shoe guy, but that's not the way he is because he's a rugged guy. He had the back of all his big luggy linemen years ago, so he knows what's happening. Repeat that question again, Daniel. Sometimes this.
No, it's okay.
This medical pot just gets me goofed up every once in a while. So.
No, I was saying what you thought about his. Why is he so polarizing? Why are people so hell bent on being negative about Tebow when all he seems to do is believe in God and work really hard? Why do people have to polarize that?
I don't understand that either, Daniel. Maybe it's because he's such a charming character. I mean, he is. He's a charming guy. He was a virgin until he got married, for crying out loud. How many people you see that out there like that? Remarkable guy. I mean, Dan in itself is remarkable. So, I think he brings a lot to the table. I know what he's going to do in the clubhouse. I mean, he's going to really meld these guys together. Even if he doesn't make the team, I'm sure he's going to be hanging around. So him in the clubhouse is going to be really beneficial, especially after putting up with so many jerks we've had in the last couple of years. I would have liked to see Tebow handle some of the clowns that we just threw out of here. I bet he could do a better job with them.
Well, and that's the thing, and I've been in the locker room, and I tell that to people all the time. I was physically there, and in my coverage of the Jaguars of over a decade, to be there with Jalen Ramsey and to be there with Telvin Smith and Marcel Darius and Yannick Ngakoue, to see what they brought on the field, for the most part, was good. But off the field, it was just ridiculous at times. Yannick Ngakoue not being able to do an interview with me until his teammate, because apparently he was incapable of doing it, until his teammate put on his $10,000 gold diamond watch. Seeing Jalen Ramsey just be at his locker quiet, and then he starts screaming and all the lights go on, and seeing Telvin Smith every time, I would go up and interview him when he first got to Jacksonville, and he'd talk to me all the time. And then you go up there, as he's gotten better and bigger, and you say, "Can you do an interview?" And he says, "Yeah, just give me a minute," and then he leaves. And Marcel Darius having to look like Mr. T before he did an interview. He had to put sunglasses on, he had to show his chest, he had to have his chain out. It's sad because there was guys in the locker room besides them that were fantastic. AJ Boye, Calais Campbell, Malik Jackson. I loved being around Malik. Malik was so nice. And, AJ Cann, Cam Robinson, Mercedes Lewis. So many really, really just hard-working, good guys. And then Gardner Minshew comes in, and Minshew's all about positivity. The team's lost dang near every game last year, and what's he doing the second to last week? He's like, "That's what we do. This is how we fight." And you're seeing him believe and try to get them to believe, and I'm loving that because I've been in the locker rooms on the road, and I've been in the locker rooms at home, and I've seen what it looked like, and it didn't look like that. And then I see Tim Tebow come onto this team, and I think to myself, listen, having him in any locker room, man, if Tim Tebow was in a Chick-fil-A drive-thru and they were backed up and it was busy, he'd pump everybody up and they'd be cranking out sandwiches. That's who he is. That's what he does. So, I mean, I don't know why people are so mad. If Tim Tebow gets a chance, I'm never going to watch football again. Well, then don't watch football again, you moron. Why would, I mean, what does he do? How is he hurting you? Well, I don't think he deserves a spot. Really? How does he not deserve a spot? He won in college. He won with this coach. He won in the pros. He has won a playoff game. He defeated Ben Roethlisberger and the Pittsburgh Steelers after they had won a Super Bowl. What has the man done wrong? He believes in God? What does that have to do with football? So, I mean, I get really upset about the Tebow situation because I believe in God, and I don't hide it, and it means the world to me. And I tell people all the time, you can listen to my show and not believe in God, listen to my show and believe in God, and I'm still going to accept you, but accept me for who I am. Why does Tim Tebow owe anybody an apology? Why is he Tebowing when he's kneeling? He's not Tebowing. I don't Tebow in church. I pray. That's what he's doing. They made it a lightning rod. He didn't. They made him a clown in the circus. He didn't. So the media wants to bash him for creating him themselves. They made the stupidity, and now they complain about the stupidity. The media is essentially yelling at themselves through Tim Tebow, which to me makes no logical sense.
Well, that was your rant for the day. That's good. I like that. And you're right, of course. All the guy wants to do is play football. And all he wanted to do for the last 4 years was play baseball. You know, let's face it. He's not going to be the most gifted athlete at 33 years old, maybe 34 years old, by the time we're done talking. He's not the most gifted person you're going to see out there, but he's going to work hard. He's going to be in shape. And I can't wait to see him. I know what Meyer's going to do. And I told you this last week or a couple weeks ago when we had the show. He's going to line up quarterback. He's going to take that little jump pass over the line of scrimmage to a tight end. I can't wait to see that happen. I know it's going to be called. But, you know, the defense, once they see him on the field in a goal line situation, you know, there's a lot of things that are going to go through the defensive minds.
Yeah, you know, and for Trevor Lawrence, who they drafted number 1 overall, who is the quarterback of this team, he came out and said this, quote, "I've had a few good conversations with him," speaking of Tim Tebow. Once again, this is Trevor Lawrence. "I'm really excited to play with him. I don't know if you're going to find a better guy to have in your locker room." That's what we just said on the show. "And he's in great shape. He looks great. He's been out there practicing with us. He's running around well, picking it up quick. I think mentally he's in a great spot. Being a quarterback and playing in the NFL for a number of years, he kind of gets the NFL offense. Personnel, offense, systems. He picks them up easily. He's coming along great, and I think just everyone's excited to have him in the locker room, seeing what he's been able to do, the ultimate competitor he is, and just his character. That's just a guy you want on your team, for one, and a guy you want to be around," end quote. So, Trevor Lawrence basically said what I've been saying and you've been saying since the beginning of Tebow time. So, I mean, he just said it. Who wouldn't want him in the locker room? Who wouldn't want to be around him? I just like being around this guy. He's in great shape. He's the ultimate competitor. What is wrong with that, America? Nothing. There's nothing. I want him on. Who wouldn't want to be around this guy in the locker room? That's what I said. That's what I said 5 years ago. That's what I said before that. I said, why should Tim Tebow be on the Jaguars or on any team? Because just simply having him in the locker room is a game changer. He believes in God. He's got a strong faith. He doesn't give up. I know what it's like to have a strong faith when everything is against you, when it makes no sense, when it seems impossible. I started my company out of thin air. I think I know what it means to have faith. So when I see it in another, or I feel it, or he shows it, or she shows it, or displays it, then yes, why have Tim Tebow in the locker room? Because if he was the long snapper, he can motivate you. If he's the punter, he can motivate you. If he's the quarterback, the tight end, the D-back, he can motivate you. He is a motivator. He knows how to win. He has won. He knows how to lead. He is a leader. He has been successful in everything that he's done that I have seen, from writing books to playing baseball. Oh, Dan, he hasn't successful. He didn't play for the Mets. Hi. How many people make it at all to single A, double A, triple A? How many people have spent 5 years playing baseball at that level? People underestimate, because you're not in the big leagues, how many of the people that were commenting on him not being in the big leagues ever made it anywhere. How many of the talking heads knew what it was like. How many people in this country complaining about Tebow knew how to even pick up a bat and hit a 90-mile-an-hour pitch, let alone be a quarterback. This guy played 2 sports. We love Bo Jackson that did it. Why do we hate Tim Tebow? What's the problem? And listen, if you don't like what I say, and you don't like what Papa Joe says, and you don't like what Tim Tebow says, guess what? Trevor Lawrence, your glory boy, who's coming onto the team, just said he likes having him there. So if your quarterback says it, maybe you should shut up and take it, because how many people have to say, this is great, this is a good thing? Why are we complaining about it? Believes in God, ultimate competitor, love to have in the locker room, works really hard. What is the issue? It's like asking God for a slice of pizza, he hands it to you, and then you slap it and starve. Go ahead and starve, people, if that's what you want to do. I'm going to eat the pizza.
That's right. Well, when you look at the tight end situation for Jacksonville, we got 6 guys listed as what I can see. I got Manhurst, Tyler Davis, Tebow, of course, Luke Farrell, which was a draft choice. O'Shaughnessy played last year, and Ben Ellison. It looks like they must have released Tyler Effort. So we got these 6 guys going to be, I don't know, competing for what, 3 spots maybe 2 spots. So I like his chances of making a team. I don't think he's going to play much, but I like his chances of making a team, Daniel.
Yeah, and we look at it, speaking with Papa Joe here inside the Cafe Cuball studios on Wake Up Call, I look at, let's be real. Okay? They got rid of Mercedes Lewis. I didn't agree with that. When they got rid of because Mercedes is the only bridge. He was the only player from the decade of making the playoffs to making the playoffs again. He was the only guy left on the roster. And after they did it, they eventually let him go, and I didn't like that. And he's still playing. But O'Shaughnessy has been there for years. James O'Shaughnessy caught some big-time passes in the playoff run to the AFC Championship a few years ago that I was at all the way through. Luke Farrell, they drafted. Tyler Davis, Ben Ellison, Chris Manhertz, okay. Like, who's the guy? Nobody. Nobody's the guy. I mean, what's the complaining about? Nobody's the guy. They drafted Josh Oliver a couple seasons ago. He couldn't stay healthy. He never really did anything for Jacksonville because he was never on the field, and now he's in Baltimore. Tyler Eifert they brought in with last year to go with Jay Gruden, and what did that do? Absolutely nothing. He didn't do anything. He literally did nothing for the most part. So Jacksonville, for many a season, has done nothing at tight end. Besides Mercedes Lewis, it's been a revolving door of nada. So who cares if Tim Tebow is there? It's a nothing position. It's not even used. When Mark Brunell there, Kyle Brady. Since then, who? Mercedes. Since Mercedes, who? There's nobody. What is there, 2 tight ends? If I ask people right now to name the tight ends of Jacksonville history, they probably tell me Mercedes Lewis and Kyle Brady. Yeah. So, what's the problem? Manhurts, you really think he's going to catch 100 passes this year or 80? James O'Shaughnessy has never been the dominant guy. Then you got a rookie and 2 guys that are not household names. Some of these guys might shape up. I think these guys are not going to all be on the team when all's said and done. But Tim Tebow's trying to be a tight end on a team that doesn't have one. I think that's okay. There's not even a first string, a second string, or a third string. All these guys are trying to make the team. The only guy that has collateral is James O'Shaughnessy, because he was on the team that made the playoffs, because they were able to trust in him when they needed somebody in a pinch, because he caught passes in the playoffs when they didn't even throw to him all year. He has collateral. He comes to Vegas with chips on the table. Nobody else does. So as far as I'm concerned, Tebow don't have chips. Neither does Luke, Tyler, Ben, or Chris. So you got O'Shaughnessy and then nobody else. So I think that, if we're all playing with house money, let Tebow roll a couple dice. That's
right. The Manhurst kid is, I had to look him up. I didn't really know too much about him. And apparently he's a good blocking, shall we say, quote-unquote, tight end, which is why I guess they signed him as a free agent. That should give us a pretty good idea of what Urban Meyer is up to. He may want Tebow as an H-back or maybe another tight end. but you know we're going to be running the ball.
Yeah.
When you got Travis Etienne and you got James Robinson, you're going to run the ball. And I think that's probably going to help Lawrence an awful lot. I would like to see a two-headed beast back there in the backfield. I think Etienne is going to be a hell of a player. I mean, I'm surprised that he got as far as he did at 25. And I'm sure that Meyer was sort of licking his chops saying, hey, if he drops that far, I'm going to get him. And he did. So, we got, these are good guys, Daniel. These aren't bad guys. There's 6 guys trying to probably play for 3 spots.
Yeah.
Meyer's probably going to use a double tight end most of the time, especially when he's running the ball. He's going to have, he's going to come up. They have to come up with some patterns with 2 tight ends for a pass. So he's got all that stuff down. He knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
He probably got the first. He's probably got the first 20 plays already mapped out, and Lawrence hasn't even taken a snap yet.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing, is trust. Urban Meyer recruited Tebow and won championships with him. So just trust. He's not a quarterback. He's not a quarterback on the roster. Like, shut up. Like, what are we talking about? I don't want to watch Friends, so don't watch it. I mean, what do you want me to tell you? You don't want to watch it, don't watch it. I don't like anchovies, then why are you eating them? Like, if you don't like what's happening, and this is the other thing, PJ, there's 53 men on every roster in the NFL. Do we spend this much time on anybody else besides Colin Kaepernick and Tim Tebow? No.
Right.
Like, who's talking about Aaron Rodgers right now and him being happy? Who's talking about that? We're talking about Tebow. Aaron Rodgers is the MVP. Let's talk about that. He's not at OTAs. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about the fact that this man is the face of Green Bay. He's their only shot at winning a Super Bowl from now until whenever he's done. So let's talk about Aaron Rodgers. Let's talk about how Tom Brady's 87 years old and he may win another Super Bowl. Let's discuss the things that matter. How about the fact that we don't know who the quarterback is in New Orleans? Jameis Winston. I got money on Taysom Hill.
My man, Jameis.
Your man Jameis. Let's talk about Joe Burrow coming back to Cincinnati and the fact that he's got 2 of his weapons that he used to have when he was at LSU with Jamar Chase and Thaddeus Moss. Let's talk about the fact that Teddy Bridgewater was given 5 seconds to Carolina and he's already gone. Or the fact that the Jets made Mark Sanchez a sacrificial lamb, then Sam Darnold a sacrificial lamb, and now they look like they're setting up Zach Wilson to maybe be a sacrificial lamb before he even takes a snap. Let's talk about the things that are going on. Oh, I don't know about Tim Tebow. Why? He believes in God. Does that offend you? Well, then consult your conscience. Oh, he doesn't get in trouble in the media? Then consult your conscience. Oh, he married a pretty girl? Then consult your conscience. Oh, you don't... I mean, who... Listen, Tim Tebow, I'm going to tell you what it is. It's jealousy and it's envy. That's all it is. That's all it is. It's not because he's white. It's not because he believes. It's just jealousy and envy. This man could be purple with white polka dots, and they'd still hate him for believing in God and trying to make it. Listen, he's a competitor. If you want the spot over Tim Tebow, then go work out and go try out for the Jaguars. And if you're a better tight end than he is, then I'll shut up. But until then, my Monday morning quarterbacks, with all due respect, you don't throw a pass. You just watch them. And if this man did not win championships and didn't win a Heisman, how many times has a guy won a Heisman and we've attacked the hell out of him? Who attacked Rashaan Salam? Who's attacking these players? Who's attacking Ernie Davis, bless his heart in heaven? This guy won a Heisman Trophy. Who's attacking Devontae Smith right now? I heard that he's too skinny, but besides that, I didn't hear anybody go, oh my gosh, he's got a roster spot, and oh, what am I going to do? How am I going to live? You'll be fine. So, in all honesty and with all due respect, let's call it what it is. People are offended by the fact that they can't find anything offensive about him. They can't find anything wrong with him. That's their problem. And it's become socially acceptable to hate on this guy because it's where most of the herd goes. Well, I don't follow the herd. I don't follow them when they go off the cliff, and I don't follow them when they starve themselves in the desert. Tim, you have my support. You've had my support. I've met you personally twice, and my interactions with you have been absolutely fine. It actually showed me how humble you are when I did meet you. And for the couple minutes that we were around each other, you actually showed me that you're a normal human being. So thank you for that. And let's also discuss, PJ, Gardner Minshew. This poor freaking guy has done nothing but love this team, nothing but love Duval, nothing but love Jacksonville. He has only worked his butt off. He always puts his body on the line. He was begging allegedly to play when the team was losing every game, and he was sitting on the bench. He was telling Doug Marrone to put him out there. How do you get any better than Trevor Lawrence, Gardner Minshew, and Tim Tebow in the same freaking locker room? I mean, to me, it's positive, positive, positive. So I feel bad for Gardner Minshew because what is he going to do now?
He should be. Well, I see their quarterbacks. There's 4 of them listed here. They got Jake Luton behind C.J. Beathard. Minshew's got to be the backup, that's for sure. So, look, Minshew brings a lot to the table. We know that. We've been Gardner guys for 2 years, so we know what he can do. But Trevor Lawrence is going to bring a whole different outlook to the quarterback position at Jacksonville. He's going to play far better than anyone we've ever had there, with Mark Brunell probably. But he should take over, lead the team, and he'll do that. He's got a lot of talent. At least he doesn't have to go to Green Bay, where Aaron Rodgers doesn't want to take $40 million a year to play for Green Bay. I don't get that one.
And it's tough. And to mention a point from Greg, much appreciation, Greg, and thank you for your thoughts. And, he said Tebow's a lightning rod on a team you both love. Guess what? Jalen Ramsey was a lightning rod too, and I'll take Tebow over Jalen Ramsey any day. So, having to deal with Jalen Ramsey in the locker room, no thank you. And I said I wanted 2 first-round picks, and I was told I was crazy, and what did I get? 2 first-round picks. And what did they use the one on this year? Travis Etienne Jr. I think I'm okay with that. So, we'll take a step aside for a fast break. When we come back, and I take a deep breath and talk to Jesus for a minute. We will be back here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora to talk about Major League Baseball. Oh no, spoiler alert, Tebow played in there too. Oh, what are we going to do? But we'll talk about that after this fast break. We'll talk about the Mets and the Yankees and where are them New York teams at, what's going on, and we'll take a look around Major League Baseball right after this fast break. So catch your breath. Take a breather, find a paper bag, because Danny just talked about Timmy Tebow, and some people got a little frisky. So we'll talk about it right after this. Plenty coming up on Wake Up Call inside the Cafe Kubal Studios. We're having fun this morning. We'll talk with you right after this fast break. Avicoli's Restaurant, located on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, is there for you in this community for over 2 decades. Avicoli's is the proud home of our exclusive Liverpool Warriors high school show, and we were there this week in support of Liverpool girls lacrosse and had a fantastic time speaking with the young ladies. Find your way to Avicoli's Tuesday through Sunday for lunch, dinner, and drinks, and make sure that you get in touch with them at myavicolis.com to make it easy online. You can also go and call them at 315-622-5100, or you can head right to the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, to sit down outside or in their fine dining or at the bar or in their more casual pizza side. It's like 4 locations in one, right there on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road for Avicoli's. Canine Campground Dog Boarding is your home for your pup. It's where you bring them. Whether the dog, and I call them all pups, but whether they're little ones or they're 10 years or 14 years old, Canine Campground Dog Boarding provides a cabin to every single dog. They all have their own living space. They also can come out in the community and play with each other. And be sure, folks, that when it comes to Canine Campground Dog Boarding and Canine Camp Dog Daycare, the dogs they go through a process. You fill out paperwork to make sure that these dogs can play well with one another. Because when you drop your dog off, it's important for you to know the other dogs and to know that the dog is safe, respected, and cherished. And that's what it is, a Canine Camp Dog Daycare and Canine Campground Dog Boarding. For your little girl or little guy in the family, trust them right in East Syracuse off of Bridge Street. PB&J's Lunchbox, one of our newest partners coming to us, is one of the places that I feel like it's only a matter of time before we see them on international television. Their grilled peanut butter and jelly sandwich is second to none, and it's fantastic. The roasted pecans chopped up make it truly special. And from everything to their Philly cheesesteaks and their corn chowder and their brownies, whatever they have, it is worth the heading out to 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York today. Victory Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, I've trusted them for years to help me to rehab to get better with my body. And they've done that. I'm in better shape now and in a better place now than I've ever been. And thanks to Victory Sports Medicine and Orthopedics for listening to me as the patient, for breaking things down with me and truly treating me like a human being. Listen, you don't have doctors like Dr. Mark Petropoli everywhere you go. You have them at Victory. That's why whether you're in Skinny Atlas or you can drive out there, it is absolutely worth jumping in the car and heading out and giving them an opportunity to help you today. There's nothing like it, and they're called Victory for a reason, because they help you to have that in your life. With that being stated, we're back here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets that thing called life inside the Cafe Kubal studios. And Cafe Kubal located on 3501 James Street, 324 West Water Street, 208 North Townsend Street, 401 South Salina Street, as well as inside of Golisano's Children's Hospital, and they're located on 343 Fayette Street in Manlius, New York. So head out there and fill your cup with your favorites today, and if you've never been there before, today's a perfect day to give them their first try. You will not be disappointed. Cafe Kubal, all the good stuff, and proud studio partner of Wake Up Call. Here on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt, facebook.com/livenowdt, facebook.com/wakeupcalldt, and you're listening on internet streaming radio all throughout the world on mixlr.com/wakeupcalldt, and on the homepage of wakeupcalldt.com. Ton of places to listen and a lot of places to connect after the shows go live. PJ is here with us inside of monpozpopcorn.com's What's Poppin', and I promise PJ will talk some baseball this morning, and I'm going to hand it off to him like a quarterback to a running back, like Trevor Lawrence to James Robinson or Travis Etienne. I am so excited about this backfield. I want to buy both jerseys. That's how excited I am. James Robinson, undrafted free agent that was almost the Rookie of the Year. In my book, he was the Rookie of the Year. Take away that he played for Jacksonville. This man had 1,070 yards rushing, and he didn't even play the full 16 games. And he was undrafted. And he was like fourth string on the depth chart when we came into the season. Shout out to Illinois State for seeing something in James Robinson, and shout out to Jacksonville for seeing something in him as well. And now you got Travis Etienne Jr., a guy that I've covered his entire collegiate career, who's done nothing but wonders. And if he ever needed a career day, all he had to do was play Syracuse. So, now he's on my team, and now I feel a little bit better about it. Kind of like Leonard Fournette, when he ran all over Syracuse, and then I got to have him on Jacksonville. So, Travis Etienne's going from a different shade of orange to that teal that we love so very much. And I'm excited. PJ, final notes before we go into baseball about what you think Travis Etienne and James Robinson is going to look like in the backfield.
Oh, well, that's a two-headed monster there, boy. And I think that Darrell Bevel is probably licking his chops, and he's coming up with all sorts of split backfields and I-O formations and split outs. He's probably got 10 different plays for these guys. And frankly, they can intertwine. I mean, they feed off each other. I think that's what's going to happen, because I haven't seen Etienne play yet at a pro level. But they're the same kind of back. I mean, they do the same thing. So if Etienne can look at Robinson and say, this is how you play running back in the NFL, I can copy this, and that's what's going to happen. I think it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun to watch. I wouldn't know. If I was a defensive coordinator and I saw those guys split in the backfield, I have no idea how I would try to stop them, whether it be a flare-out pass or a long pass or just a draw play or a screen pass or something. It's going to be very difficult to stop these people. I'm hoping that the Jags don't screw things up here, because it almost looks like a utopia here. I mean, we're a little giddy right now, but the kids haven't started hitting or anything like that, and we don't know if Trevor Lawrence is going to break down. You know, there's too many variables. Too many variables.
Yeah, you know, I mean, it's just the talent back there is going to be awesome. It's a guy that, and you know what? It takes the pressure off of Travis Etienne, because him coming in as a first-round draft pick running back, you would think that there's going to be all this pressure. But because James Robinson's already there, the pressure's released a little bit already, which is a beautiful thing. It helps him to live a little. It helps him to get acclimated and get comfortable. He doesn't have to be the guy, and he doesn't have to dominate from day zero, which is a beautiful thing. So I think it works out for Travis Etienne. I think it works out for James Robinson. I think it definitely works out for Trevor Lawrence, and it works out for the fans. So I'm excited for day one. And PJ and I are ready to be in TIAA Bank Field or whatever they're going to call that field in 2 years.
Oh, no.
Because, it's the Jacksonville Municipal to Everbank Field to, on and on and on and on. But it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful opportunity. We're back here with Papa Joe. We lost the signal here for a second, so we apologize there. And want to let you know that we are back here doing our thing. So we're going to get PJ back set up on Facebook, but you're listening to us on YouTube as well as on mixlr.com/wakeupcalldt. And you're hanging out with us inside of the Cafe Kubal studios. So PJ, to get rocking and rolling on Major League Baseball, what are you taking away from what you're seeing on the field right now?
A lot of good baseball being played. The teams that I spoke about earlier in the year are raising the level of play. The Padres, especially, Boston Red Sox. But what I like to do is sort of like give you my top 15 teams and talk about a little bit and see where they're going to go from here. If you listened a month ago, I've really trumped on San Diego being a super team this year. They signed a couple of really big pitchers, Yu Darvish and Trevor Bauer. Bauer's with the Dodgers, but anyone who's got Fernando Tatis Jr. is a threat to win any game. And San Diego will continue to be my top team until someone can tell me they can play better than them. I got them. I got the Red Sox right after the Padres. 3 weeks ago, I was off the Boston Red Sox bandwagon. They lost a couple of players. They lost Jackie Bradley. Some really, really, really good players. Lost a good pitching. And what are they doing? They're playing the best. They're playing the best of anyone in that division of the Yankees. I got them number 2, and they're playing really, really, really well. And they're hitting all cylinders. You got J.D. Martinez, who drives in most of the runs. You got good pitching, good hitting. You're there. My Dodgers have crept up a little bit. I got them at number 3, even though Bellinger, Sager, and Pollock have all been on the injured list. Anytime you got Clayton Kershaw, then you got a chance to win anything, anytime, anywhere. So I still like the Dodgers at number 3. Number 4, I got the Yankees up there, mainly because there's no other place to put them. Because they're so much on paper, they're so much better than anyone else. I don't know how they're going to pull it off, but they got incredible pitching with Garrett Cole, all sorts of hitting with the big guy Judge, and it's too many weapons. They got too much on the rest of the guys in this league, but they're sitting number 4 for me. Number 5, I got the White Sox. Actually, the White Sox have been playing really good this year, except for the last week or so. They've lost several games, and they're dropped down in my hierarchy here. Tony La Russa has been I've been a Tony La Russa fan for years, going back 30 years in baseball. I'm just wondering if his old-time ways of coaching baseball, managing baseball, is going to be successful to these kids that are coming up, not want to be coached to anything. You got these kids in the Caribbean learn baseball when they're 10 years old. By the time you're 15 years old, you got a $2 million contract, and when you're 18 years old, you're going to be playing in the major league. So, hey, good. I got the Houston Astros, who everyone hates because of their cheating. They're taking care of business, though. They're playing much better. Saw a big kick last night. I saw a little blurb come through. Trevor Bauer was pitching for the Dodgers, and Jose Altuve now leading off for Houston. First pitch home run. Turned it off. Love it. Houston. Very, very tough. I got my Tampa Bay Rays that continually crept up this list of mine. And I don't know how. I mean, they continue to win. They got ragamuffin players. They don't have any all-stars. It's just the way the climate is down there. I don't know what it is. Going back to Joe Madden, I mean, these guys, they're playing unbelievable. Unbelievable. I got the Cardinals after that, one of my favorite teams. But you got here, Molina's still in there. They got good pitching, good hitting. I expect them to do better. Giants after this. The Giants are playing a little bit better than what I thought they would. I don't expect the Giants, the last in my list, I don't expect that they're going to be hitting as well as they're doing. So I look for them to drop off a little bit. Got Oakland next. Oakland's my surprise. And you got the West Coast has got good baseball this summer, folks. If you get a chance to watch it, watch it. Oakland, again, a nondescript team with not a lot of star players, but playing very well. At the Indians, who was everyone's team last year, they lost a bunch of pitching, but they seem to be doing a lot better. Jose Ramirez carries them. But they got the second worst batting average in spite of having Jose Ramirez. So, they're not going anywhere either. Got the Mets at number 12. Well, what can I say? If you got DeGrom on your team and he's a Cy Young Award winner 2 years in a row, you're going to win some ball games. And I think that they had to put him on an injured reserve list for 10 days just a while ago. But I think he's back. I think he pitched 5 innings last night, gave up 1 hit and struck out 8. Not bad. I got the Braves next. I love the Braves. The Braves are not playing as well as I thought they would. They got Ronald Acuna, the hell of a player, the next superstar, along with Fernando Tatis and Freddie Freeman carry this team. But they're not doing it. They're not doing it. Toronto Blue Jays, who don't even have a place to play for crying out loud. But they got good pitching, good hitting. But I don't expect this team to play this well later on in the year. And at 15, I got to come up with the Brewers, my team, my boys' team, my bros' team. A lot of good things to say about the Brewers. They got good starting pitching now. Brandon Woodruff, Corbin Burns, Freddie Peralta. And, of course, you got the Major League, National League MVP is back playing for the Brewers. Christian Yelich is back, and he should get his timing down pretty soon. Watched him last night. Thank you, MT. MT standing here next to me. I got to shout out to Mary for giving me the Major League Baseball thing because I would never have seen Yelich play. So,
yeah,
that's my 15, Daniel. The rest of these guys are some. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, all right. The rest of these teams, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on. I'm just going to tell you where I'm sort of disappointed. The Phillies are meandering about. They got too many good hitters. And too many good pitchers to be where they are, and they need to pull themselves out. The Nationals, you got Max Scherzer and Steven Strasburg as pitchers, and you're not even a 500 ball club. Something's wrong there. Kansas City, Seattle, nothing. My Angels, I'm in mourning.
Yeah.
Because Mike Trout is hurt.
Yeah.
Mike Trout got hurt. He was going from first to third, pulled the calf muscle. And as big a muscle bound as he is, apparently it's going to take 6 to 8 weeks to heal. And, again, there goes the Angels season. For years, the Angels have been trying to find a cast of players to play with Mike Trout and win. And even win when he's not in a damn lineup.
Yeah.
He's got, something's wrong in L.A., and I don't get it. They bring in Anthony Randon for $300 million a year. Trout is the highest paid player in history. No one's going to get any more than that, except maybe Tatis when he starts wheeling and dealing. It's tough. It's tough. It's tough for me. I got my Major League Baseball package, thanks to Mary, because I want to watch Kershaw pitch, and I want to see Trout play center field and hit. That's why I wanted to watch the MLB. We don't get to see teams on the East Coast.
Yeah.
So the rest of these guys, Pittsburgh, Detroit, Minnesota, they're not going anywhere. Unfortunately, Daniel, at the very end of this list.
I was going to say, where my boys at? Number 30 out of 30? Yay.
Are last on my list.
I'm sure they are. I'm sure they are.
There they are. And there's nothing I can say about them because they've lost all their good hitters. They lost Paul Goldschmidt. I don't know what's going to happen with them.
And here's the thing. I mean, and I was going to ask you where they were. I was going to ask you where they sat, and I'm not going to fight you on it. They stink. My Diamondbacks are hot garbage right now. So it's gross. It's for those of you that remember the State Fair, it's like being at the State Fair when it's 91 degrees outside, and the trash has maggots in it, and it hasn't been cleaned. And it's like the sun's been beating on it, and it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon. That's the Diamondbacks. Right now, in this moment. I'm so upset, like I do. I kind of check in. I'm like, I don't want to look, so I kind of just check in, Hey, how they doing? Oh, okay. You know what I mean? Like I kind of just poke my head in, and I'm like, oh, the garbage still hasn't been taken out? Okay. It still smells? All right. I mean, this is what I'm seeing. It's so sad. The Diamondbacks are 18-32. Yay. And they have the Baltimore Orioles have the worst record in baseball. The Orioles are 17-32. So, one more win than them. Yay. So, the Arizona Diamondbacks. But, I mean, PJ, what's going on? I mean, you watch all these baseball teams. You got it. You put a little litmus test out there. You feel out. I love what you just did. You gave your top 15. You basically told us the top half of Major League Baseball, in your opinion, by power ranking, which is insanely amazing and shows the level of work, anticipation, and everything you do for the show, which I thank you for, here on Wake Up Call inside the Cafe Cue Ball studios. What do you see with Arizona? Is there any silver lining? Why do they lose so much? What's going on?
Daniel, I don't know enough about the team to even talk about them because nothing sticks out for me. And again, they're on the West Coast.
Yeah.
We don't ever get to see the Diamondbacks play. Even with MLB, I'm sorry, I'm not going to be watching the Arizona Diamondbacks. They're not a very good team. I mean, if you could say they need more pitching or better hitting or better fielding, you could say that. But, these are professional baseball players. Everyone goes through a training camp to get to a point to play baseball. And if Arizona does not have the athletes that the rest of these teams do, so maybe their farm system's not as good as it used to be. Well, they need to pick that. That's the only way they're going to find it, because you're going to sign a few free agents every once in a while.
Yeah.
Most of the time, they're going to come up through your farm system.
Yeah.
So if you're not strong, you got many years of waiting.
Well, I think it's funny that I said, what's going on with them, and you're like, their fielding, their hitting, and their pitching are all bad. I'm like, oh, well, thank God that's not everything. So they are where they are. But I do want to talk to you about something, and Greg ironically brought it up. Shout out, Greg. I was going to show him love either way. But the New York Mets doing their thing. They're leading the NL East right now, and they have 17 players on the IL, and they're still in first place. What can you tell me about the Mets?
They got good hitting. They got Pete Alonso, hits a lot of home runs. Got Jacob DeGrom, who every fourth day or every fifth day is going to give you an unbelievable effort pitching. They have the best second baseman or shortstop in baseball with Linder, who came from Cleveland. Mm-hmm. The Mets are doing things the right way. They have a good farm system. They always have a good farm system. And they signed a really, really top-flight free agent. So I look for them to continue to play better. I like the Mets an awful lot. I like the Mets actually in that division to win it.
What about Los Yankees? What do you think about the Yankees so far? I know you talked a little bit about, but how they're doing this season, where they're at. They've actually played 6 more games than the Mets, and they won all 6 of those games. But it's very competitive in the AL East. The Tampa Bay Rays, the Boston Red Sox, the Yankees, and the Blue Jays all have winning records. What is your takeaway about where the Yankees are at right now, and how much of a threat are the Red Sox and the Rays?
Well, the Yankees are going to be at the top or among the first 2 teams on that division for the entire year. They simply have too many good players to lose. I mean, their pitching is excellent. Their hitting is good. It's going to get better when some of our guys come back off the. I think there's 4 or 5 guys that are still on the injured reserve for the Yankees, and they still have a good crew. Look, the Yankees have 3 or 4 or 5 players that they use for spares that could start for any other team.
Yeah.
The Yankees, they got a good, excellent manager, Aaron Boone. They got finally an owner that's leaving them alone. They're playing good ball. I mean, I look for them actually to take charge in that division and start pulling away.
And hopefully, PJ, what I really want to see is a Subway Series. Like, remember those days? I mean, is there any chance or any hope? I know I picked the Dodgers and the Yankees before the season even started, but do you think that we could ever just like see the Mets and the Yankees do it again?
Well, it's difficult. It's difficult to do it. I would love to see it too. It would probably give the sport a good name after what we had to put up with Houston with all that cheating and stuff. The Mets, our Mets are a team to be reckoned with down the road. I don't know if they're going to put it together this year, but they have all the pieces to do that. And, of course, the Yankees will be the Yankees. The Yankees are going to be in the playoffs no matter what. The Mets are going to have to scramble. So,
yeah.
When you get in the playoffs and you got short series, things happen.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, a 6 seed is beating a number 2 seed in a short series. So there's a lot to look forward to in baseball this year. And I'm going to be sitting by my TV every day like I do and watch it.
Yeah, and the good thing for the Mets is they get to play Arizona in a series in just a couple days. So, good for you guys. Have fun in Arizona. But, they're for those of you that like the Subway Series, and we're not talking about Eat Fresh over here, we're talking about the real Subway, the Mets and the Yankees will face off in a 3-game series. So there is a little Subway Series, no matter what. Friday, it's actually a 4th of July thing. I'm ecstatic about this. It's a whole weekend. 4th of July weekend is the Subway Series. How could it play better than that? Friday, July 2nd, Saturday, July 3rd, and Sunday, July 4th, the Mets will be at the Yankees for 2 night games, and the middle game on Saturday is going to be an afternoon game. But how cool I would love to go to this Subway Series and spend all 3 days there. I would love to just sit and watch this. Are you kidding me? 4th of July in New York City, Mets and Yankees? How does it get better than that, PJ?
Oh, yeah. Except it has to pay $12 for a beer and $10 for a hot dog. Bet that.
Not if I smuggle it in myself. So, good.
There's something else I wanted to broach this morning that's been bothering me for the last month or so, and that's horse racing again. It seems like cheating is rearing its ugly head again. And one of the men in the forefront of horse racing is Bob Baffert, who trains in California. He runs his horses mostly there, but he comes over for the big races. And his course, Medina Spirit, who won the Kentucky Derby, tested positive for a drug that's not supposed to be used. Again, another black eye by Baffert. This is the fifth positive tests he's had in the last couple of years with his horses in California. This is the black eye. Now the poor they outlawed him from going to the Preakness. They couldn't go there. This guy has all the wealthy clients that he needs to get well-bred horses. He doesn't need to cheat to do it. Race on the East Coast if you don't want to cheat. It's disgusting. People have actually forgot about horse racing because it was a thing of the past. Right now, everything, there's very few pieces even go to the game or even go to the races. And the people that are making out of the horsemen because they're getting casino money for their purses, and the guys are all making money, but no one's watching the races. It's horse racing probably in the next 5 years is probably going to see several more racetracks closed, and probably some national legislation is probably going to change the entire way that these states do business. I look for and applaud greatly, if it could happen, that the entire country be under the umbrella of one sanctioning body. All the rules and regulations thereof, the ones if some of these regulations thereof are different in the state that you're in, from different states, then make the changes. But if you could do this, if you could, every racetrack in every state could run under one sanctioning body, I think we could find a lot of good things about that.
Yeah, I mean, and it would. I mean, listen, I want horse racing to be saved, whether I, watch it all the time or I don't. To me, I want horse racing to be saved because I'm a fan of what you grew up, watching and what my grandfather loved, and I used to go to off-track betting with him. So, to me, it's nostalgic and it's beautiful. My mom had, my mom and my aunt had horses growing up. Like, my buddy had a horse. My aunt actually, was in competitions with the horse. My buddy just had his horse for fun. But there's something beautiful about it. And I don't ever want to see it go away. So, I think, maybe on my side, I could do a better job at putting more of a focus on it in a spotlight, but I never want to see it go. We had a question come in, PJ, that was, what are our thoughts on Baffert, on Bob Baffert?
I've never been a Bob Baffert fan. Frankly, the way I just described it is the way I still feel about it. Yeah. He doesn't need to cheat. He's got all the money he could ever want, and people lined up a block around to give him $1 million 2-year-olds to train to win. That's how good of a trainer he is. He doesn't need to cheat. He needs to take a look at himself, or maybe he's just too big and he's not really paying attention to what his guys are doing in the stable area, because he's going to take the fall. I think he's a little bit arrogant. I liked him when he first came on, but not anymore. He's had two Triple Crown winners. The first one is not doing very well at breeding American Pharoah, but the second one, Justify, his 2-year-olds are going to hit the tracks this year. And that's another horse that ran, he won the Kentucky Derby at a dirty test. And Kentucky they held the purse for forever. I don't know what, they finally adjudicated it somehow. But here he is, an undefeated Justify, and he's been cheating because he's been on drugs probably since he's been a 2-year-old. These guys have ways of doing things that the government will never find out what they do, which is why you need so much policing at horse racing, because everyone's trying to get an angle to win. When I was managing a horse track, people would ask me, he says, well, why do you let your trainers and owners gamble and stuff like that? And I said, why not? I said, my God, they're their animals. I said, if they want to bet $1,000 on their horse to win, hey, go do it.
Yeah.
There shouldn't be any. Everything needs to be more transparent in thoroughbred racing, and unfortunately, the drug testing for the animals has not been one of them.
That coming from Papa Joe this morning about Bob Baffert and things that are going on in horse racing, as Kentucky as well as the NYRA suspending Baffert and looking at due process and what will California do and whatnots is, something to continue to look into, and we will. So
here's another
go ahead.
Rush off. This is another black eye for the sport. There's a lady that runs the New York circuit, runs Aqueduct, Belmont, and Saratoga. Her name is Linda Rice. She's been training for 30 years, and she was the only woman trainer to ever win a training title at one of the New York tracks, whether it be Belmont, Aqueduct, or Saratoga. She was just convicted of bribing racing officials that would allow her horse better positions on a track or better races for her horses to be entered in. She used to give money to these people, which she said was a loan, when in fact was let's say, thank you for getting my horse in, and she just got suspended for 5 years and had to give up her license. Now, of course she's going to appeal. I probably think she's probably going to be training and entering horses while she appeals. If they don't, then she's out for 5 years. I mean, here's a lady who actually she is the face of women in thoroughbred racing.
Yeah.
Linda Rice, the face. And here she is taken down because she cheated. So whether you cheat on the West Coast or the East Coast, you don't need to cheat. Linda, you're racing for millions and millions of dollars. You got good horses. What do you got to screw around with a race office for? Leave them alone. They do a good job. You don't have to bribe them. Enter your horses and win. That's two examples of what's happened in the last couple of years, last 5 years, with drug testing and with Linda Rice.
Yeah, and again, we look at situations like this, and, you hope that people do things the right way. But, greed is a crazy thing when you say, why do people that have so much continue to go after stuff by cutting corners? It's greed, and it's power, and it's kind of, people get hungry. Greg said, a unified commission. Okay, so this is a question to you, PJ. Do you think that it could or would actually happen, and the it is a unified commission that oversees thoroughbred horse racing? Do you actually believe that it could or would happen, that we would have a unified commission that oversees thoroughbred horse racing?
I love the idea. I just don't think it's worked. Logistically, it's not going to work. There's too many states have thoroughbred racing, and each state has different rules and laws set up for the medications of horse race, for the horses, for the collecting of the urine, for the blood test. Every state has a different deal the way they do it. Now, are you asking me? Is it possible that all of these could be under one umbrella? Possibly, yes. Realistically, no. It's too much of a headache. First of all, you got to find a commission to do it. You got to look for people that actually do this type of work. There's not a lot of them in this country. They, of course, are officials in other states. And if you're a judge in Florida and you're working under Florida statutes and you're trying to take care of the horsemen in Florida, all of a sudden that judge goes somewhere else. This horse goes to another state with different rules and regulations for horses. There's not an easy way out of it, and I don't think that's going to happen.
And we got another question. Have you seen any clear-cut cheating in harness racing?
Oh, someone must remember me up there. I suppose I better bring this up. When I was a general manager at Monticello Raceway, which is not very far from Syracuse, the company I was working for bought it and said, Joe, go over there and run it. So I did that. I did to start it. I started making some changes, and when we were racing, especially on weekends, we had several thousand people and bet several hundred thousand in pari-mutuel handle. And I often wondered, if I got to this position, what I would see if I was looking at a bad race. I don't necessarily look at the actual races won. I actually look at the betting pattern. The betting pattern is where I grew up in. That's where I had my expertise at. And when I saw the betting pattern and I saw what happened on the racetrack, I immediately, within 12 hours, had the case in hand, knew what was happening. I ushered 5 trainer, owners, drivers out of the racetrack. to be banned. And I apologize to all my hundreds of thousands of fans that came there. And I used to get, that was those guys cheated. There were, the harness racing on a half-mile track is more difficult than a mile track or a 5/8, because you got to go around twice. And you're always moving your little sulky. You're trying to get position somewhere. Daniel, where was I?
You were talking about, talking about what happened within the harness racing and escorting everybody out in the story. Yeah.
Right. Getting rid of those guys. And actually, I had a few accolades. People would call me up. They would send me a little note in the mail saying, "Thank you for cleaning up the racing at Monticello." We're very happy that when we spent our money there, we knew we got a better shot at winning. That's all I wanted to hear. And after that, of course, they tried to sue me and things like that, and that wasn't going to work. And the rest of the year turned out to be great. I saw an increase in both handle and attendance. So I guess I made the right decision. They definitely cheated. I'll tell you how they cheated. There were a couple of really good favorites in this race, if I remember right. And they really were solid favorites. And the race happened, and I'm watching the race. I watched all the races, of course. And I see these guys trying to jockey for position and And all of a sudden, they're coming down the stretch. I see both of the favorites are on the rail, and they ain't going nowhere. Why? Because there's a couple guys in front of them that's not going to let them go anywhere. That means that horses on the outside can sweep to a win. Well, I had very long odds for win, place, and show on that particular race. And the trifecta price came back something like $374 or something like that, with three extremely long shots. What these guys did is that they bought a couple of drivers to box in the favorites on the rail, and the rest of the field was bet on to win the trifecta. The trifecta should have paid $3,000, $3,500, something like that, and it came back real short. All of a sudden, I hear booing and screaming and yelling. There was going to be a riot. My security people had to call the police because people were so pissed off. They're setting benches on top of each other, and they're going to set them on fire, for crying out loud. But you got to stay tough. You got to stay tough. These guys tried to beat the system, and by the end of the performance, and this race was the last race of the performance on a Sunday afternoon. I think we had something like 6,000 people there and handled $700 and something thousand. A lot of money, and the pools are large. Not so much now when you're making your money off betting with the casinos. So it came back. I made a decision, and I knew I made the right one.
Well, and that's the thing. If you see it and it's clear cut, you've been asking. I thank you for telling the story, but you see it and it's clear cut. You got to take care of it, and kudos to you for taking care of it and not turning a blind eye. Because when somebody sees something that's wrong and they just turn the other way, you're just as responsible in your own right. I mean, maybe not the same as, but you're responsible, and nobody wants to see that. Nobody wants to see cheaters prosper. So I commend you on sticking up for what's right.
I do want to make one more point, though, in what I've been talking about.
Yeah.
I don't want our listeners to understand that 98% of the people that work in these industries work hard.
Yeah.
They work hard, long. They love the horses. They're honest as the day is long. I got to put up, and people in my position got to put up with a 2 to 5%. They're always looking for an edge to win criminally. It's not worth it. The people that need to be congratulated are the ones that are continually working on the backstretch for very little money, Daniel. These people don't make a lot of money. And it's most of the people are hardworking people. I don't want our listeners, to get a bad idea of that.
Yeah, no, and I appreciate that. I appreciate that, that you tell the story, you were asked the question, you answered the question, you answered it honestly, and at the same time you want to clarify that, the majority of the people working in the game are doing things the right way, they love their job, and they work hard. Isn't that with many places out there? There's great people, and there's a few people, there's a few rotten apples, and you don't want it to ruin the whole bunch, and, make people think that's the issue. I mean, it's kind of like Jalen Ramsey was a problem in Jacksonville, but there was so much good in Jacksonville. You can't knock 53 guys, the other 52 because of one. So, I appreciate that. We're going to take a step aside here with Papa Joe. When we come back, we're going to talk about the PGA and Phil Mickelson setting a record, doing it at 50 years old. I started the week talking about it, and here toward the end of the week, we'll talk with PJ about it right after this fast break on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life, inside the Cafe Kubal studios. In these unique times, there are those in our community that give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville Bees. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they are always here for you.
I'm George Townsend of Honda City with some good advice when buying a new car. The true cost of owning a new car is determined by the appraised value when you trade it. No vehicle appraises higher than a Honda. Next, look for low APRs and deep discounts. You also want low maintenance costs and great fuel economy. That's why my advice to you is to buy a new Honda. Looking pre-owned, visit our Honda Certified Used Car Center. Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard, Liverpool, or HondaCity-CNY.com.
It would be a pity if they don't shop at Honda City.
This is Jimmer Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. I kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacting the lives of others was really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily. We bring in local produce. We prepare to order in the kitchen. We hand butter chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. It's different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here, which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in the community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life, that's a very, very different experience than you will have in any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
I think the song needs to change to it's peanut butter PJ time, not jelly. It's PJ. That's what we're here for. We're here for Papa Joe every Thursday from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. Eastern Time, and usually a few minutes after, inside the Cafe Kubal studios where sports meets that thing called life. So happy to have you here, and thank you so much for joining the broadcast here inside of the Cafe Kubal studios. We're on Facebook.com/LiveNowDT. We're on YouTube.com/WakeUpCallDT, Facebook.com/WakeUpCallDT, as well as internet streaming radio all over the world on MixLR. wakeupcalldt and on wakeupcalldt.com's homepage. Final note for Papa Joe inside of MonPazPopcorn.com's What's Poppin' is to let you all, first and foremost, to let you know, in any one of the 50 states, including the state of Florida where PJ is hanging out, you can go to MaandPazPopcorn.com and use my promo code DT20 and get 20% off and have it delivered right to your doorstep. MaandPazPopcorn.com. Serving Central New York and serving the entire country if you let them by going to MaandPazPopcorn.com, picking your favorites, and having it shipped right to you. And make sure at checkout, when it says promo code, use DT20. That's DT20 to get 20% off on behalf of Wake Up Call and Mon Paz. Papa Joe's final piece before we get into our conversation with Dave Pasiak is on the PGA Tour and Phil Money Mickelson. Thoughts, PJ, on the man who did it at 50 years old, who set the new oldest record to ever win a PGA championship. He did a lot of great things, and he made it happen. What can you tell me about Phil Mickelson and the fact that this man did it at 50 and that he continues to be relevant in the beautiful sport of golf?
Well, I can tell you for sure that the sport is extremely difficult to master. I was a really good golfer for many years and managed to reach a 2 handicap, but it takes 365, Daniel, to play this game. These guys, I remember Gary McCord, who was an announcer for the CBS, I think. He used to call them the flat bellies. All the older guys used to go to the senior tour, and they would say, "Well, I can probably win in the senior tour. I can't beat the flat belly." Which are the young guys coming up they're different than the Nicholas and Palmer people. Let's put it this way: Phil Mickelson brought back a lot of memories of him growing up. He won his first tournament when he was an amateur, when he was a student at Arizona State University.
Yeah, he was a junior.
He won a tournament when he was in college.
Yeah.
Of course, he went right to the pro. He's been extremely successful for many years. He's beautiful family, lovely little children. He's got his fingers in everything. He's probably worth $1 billion. So, for him to suck it up and look one of the steely guys right in the eye of Brooks Koepka, my favorite golfer, look him straight in the eye and back him down. That tells you a lot about Phil Mickelson at this age. There's a lot of stories about Phil Mickelson at the golf course, and they're legendary, and they all have to do with money. I remember, Danny, you introduced him as Phil Money Mickelson.
Yeah.
He is an extremely difficult person to play skins with on a golf course. He is brutal, extremely competitive. He hates to lose. He plays for $1,000 a hole. I mean, he's got money to spend, of course, but that's how he keeps his motivation going. Even if he's not practicing, he's out there playing. If he's playing with someone else, hey, I'll give you. So he hooks up with a couple of member guys that want to drive around. Play the game. I'll give you $1 hole for $10. Something like that.
Yeah.
He's mastered a lot of shots in the game, Daniel, and most of them are actually with his wedge. He's notorious for what we call flop shots, where he would open up a wedge almost flat and just flick the ball straight up in the air, and it lands close to where you want it to be, close to the pin. He's an extraordinary player. Him and Tiger got into it a few times when Tiger was coming up, but no one was better than Tiger at that particular time. And now here we are. Tiger's his body breaking down year after year, and we will never see the best of Tiger again. And here we're just getting the tip of the iceberg with Phil Mickelson, because he's an extraordinary player, and if he can compete at this level against those guys that are coming up now, you have to have a minus handicap when you play really well, or a plus handicap, I should say, a plus handicap. All of these guys has plus handicaps, which means they shoot routinely. They shoot 60, 67, 68, 69. And golf is it's hard enough, but you got to have the right equipment. You got to have the right. Now look what's happening now with DeChambeau and Brooks. You know, they're having a little tete and doing it on Facebook. Both of those guys started lifting weights several years ago, and now they're on a tour, and you got other guys look at them and say, well, I'm going to bulk up a little bit too so I can hit the ball 350 yards. You know, golf changes, and the players change. But there's been one constant over 3 decades, and that's been Phil Mickelson, and he's been a pleasure to watch.
And and that's the beauty of it is, I remember watching something a little bit ago, and I saw him out there, and I was like, man, he's still playing. He's been through physical stuff with his body. He's been through, pain and going through adversity with his family. I mean, this is not just a guy that's trying to golf at 50. This is a guy that's been through hell and back, and he continues to excel. It's not even that he's in the game; it's that he's winning in the game. So, I think there's so much beauty to, oh wow, Phil Mickelson's still playing, and then it's, oh wow, Phil Mickelson just won. So, I mean, there's something to be said about that, and the mettle of him, and how he fights and what he does. And so I'm, very much appreciating watching him play and seeing what he could do. I mean, he's reinvigorated me to pay more attention, and I'm excited about it. I'm excited about what he will continue to bring to the game. I love that he's still winning, and I just think it's beautiful. I think it's great for golf. I think it's great for Phil. I think it's great for people that think that they can't overcome adversity when he's overcome so much. I love what he's doing, and I love that he's betting on himself. I love that. So I am very much in the Phil Mickelson corner, and I'm going to continue to be there and continue to watch and support. I mean, I grew up, watching Davis Love I like Davis Love the third. I just always loved his name. Obviously, you hear about certain people and you say, okay, like this guy makes sense, historically. But for me, Davis Love the third, Payne Stewart, bless him in heaven, and Tiger Woods. I would pay attention whenever like Tiger was putting or he was up. I'd watch. So there's beauty in the game, and Phil Mickelson is just like that guy that's like that larger than life character. So you almost think that he's like in a movie and he's not even real. And I love the fact that it's not a movie. It doesn't end in 2 hours like this is an everyday thing, and we get to watch him. So I'm excited about what Phil is going to do in the future. I love that he is doing it right now. And I think it's beautiful that people like yourself that love the game so much are moved by him, because that really shows that he has an effect beyond golf for you.
It does. Yes, it does. It's an extraordinary player. Extraordinary.
And coming from Papa Joe, we talked about the Jaguars, Tim Tebow, Major League Baseball. PJ gave us top 15 rankers, power rankers. PGA, Phil Mickelson, and horse racing. And really dug into horse racing. And we got enough.
I have a whole show on horse racing, Dan.
Well, and the beauty of this, PJ, is, and I want you to know this because you're an incredible human being, and I love you, and you're a father figure in my life, and you're just an amazing person. We got a message today that said, hanging on every word, as usual, thank you, gentlemen, with the picture of a horse. So, so that's for you, PJ. You have become a staple of the show. You have carved out a piece of Wake Up Call, and I couldn't have given it to a better person. So
thank you. Enjoy it. Every week I enjoy it, Daniel.
I'll be talking with you very soon, this coming Thursday. And in the meantime, God bless you, and my best to Mary T.
All right. Bye-bye.
Take care. And, of course, to Joey and to everybody else, much love to them. So, with that being said, here on Wake Up Call, thank you to Papa Joe. There's nobody like him. That's why he's here. And that's why I treasure him so very much. So, we'll take a step aside for a fast break. When we come back, we'll be here with Mr. Pasiak right after this.
Cafe Cabal Mobile Cafe brings the cafe experience to you. We'll roll out to your neighborhood or office, ready to serve our locally crafted espresso bar to our loyal patrons. Inquire at cafecabal.com. Cafe Cabal, coffee for the soul.
Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, located on 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, is home to over 40 flavors with more than 200 flavors in their total wheelhouse. Sky's the limit for this sweet and savory Central New York company. Keep it local at your parties, fundraisers, wedding showers, baby showers, and more by calling 315-450-MA-PA. That's 315-450-6272 for popcorn bars with custom flavors and colors at your upcoming event. Make sure to visit them on 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. And for more information, go to maandpazsnacks.com. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. How corny are you? The Millhouse Market, located on 3790 New York 13 in Pulaski, New York, is worth the drive every time. Make sure you make your way out there and download their app on the Google Play and Apple App Store so that you'll have everything right at your fingertips. So easy to use, and the hardest thing you're going to have with the app is trying to decide what you're going to have for your meal, because there's way too many great things, and once you pick a favorite, you're going to pick another one, and then they're going to go up against each other, and it's going to be a tough day, but a great day for your taste buds. So make your way out to the Millhouse Market. They are open Tuesday through Saturday from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m., and on Sundays from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m., and when I say open, that means their drive-through pickup window is there for you. Drive right up, grab your food, and go. Their general store is open with local products from local companies, including the maple syrups and the honeys that I love so very much, and their seasonings. And they're open for indoor dining as well. You can come in, order your food, sit down, and relax. And on the weekends, they have a bistro menu, and there's also a bar there for you. So many great things that the Millhouse Market offers to us, and their flavors are second to none. Their margarita pizza is so beautifully put together that it looks like a mosaic that you almost feel like it's too beautiful to eat. But then you eat the entire thing because, let's face it, folks, it's beautiful, but it's also very good going down as well. The Millhouse Market, make sure you head out there, whether you're a mile away or 30 miles away. It is a place to bring those that are coming in to the community for the weekend. You got somebody visiting, and it's, of course, the place to go to for those of us that live in beautiful central and upstate New York. 3790 New York 13 in Pulaski, New York, folks. No matter what it is, what you're looking for, they have something for everybody, and it is absolutely, positively worth the drive every single time. With that being stated here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, I'm honored and privileged to be inside of the Cafe Cabal studios every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time, 3501 James Street, 324 West Water Street, 208 North Townsend Street, 401 South Salina Street, all in Syracuse, as well as inside of Galisanos Children's Hospital, and on 343 Fayette Street in Manlius. You can find Cafe Cabal and fill your cup with your favorites today. And inside of MaandPazPopcorn.com is what's popping the second half of the show, proudly bringing you Dave Pasiak, our longtime basketball coach and analyst and enthusiast, and above all things, a fan of the game. And he's here with us today to talk about the first round of the NBA playoffs in the heat of battle. As we talked going in, now we're talking, actually we talked on the first day of the play-in tournament, and now we're talking about being a few games in here to the actual first round itself. So with that being said, NVU Linden Hornets men's basketball head coach of Division III and a fantastic basketball mind and even better friend, Dave Pasiak. How are we doing, sir?
I'm doing great, Dan. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well, and I'm going to start where your heart lies. I'm going to start in Philadelphia. Bring me into the series right now. I want to go series by series and really pick your brain on this stuff. What's your overall take on what Philadelphia has been able to do as they lead the 8-seeded Washington Wizards 2-0?
Well, Washington's dangerous because anytime you got a backcourt, with Westbrook and Beal, that makes them a dangerous team. But the Sixers have so far, they've done what a top seed should do. Kind of workmanlike effort in game one, and then last night they put it away early. able to rest the starters the whole fourth quarter. And so, they got command of the series, but then again, I mean, the series shifts to Washington. So, the Wizards can manage to pull off a couple of games in Washington, which I don't think will happen. But that, changes the whole complexion of the series. I think a lot of it's going to be dependent on, too. Westbrook got dinged up in the second half last night. Depend a little bit on what his status is going forward. But I love how Philly's playing. Ben Simmons was phenomenal last night. Only thing, if it wasn't for the blowout, he would have had a 30-15 and 30-10-10 triple-double last night. So the Sixers are in a great spot. I like their the way the bracket is laid out. I think the three most dangerous teams in the East are all on the opposite side. So, hopefully they can stay healthy, take care of Washington in short order, and move on.
Yeah, and for Philadelphia, I mean, putting this team together and what this team has looked like, I mean, Dave, over time, they were, putting the team together through the draft. They had, what seemed like, and for Philadelphia, I mean, putting this team together and they would just keep them for a couple of years, ship them out. Philadelphia, not doing well. People thought they were tanking. They get draft picks. They keep some. They move some. They're constantly moving pieces. What's been your overall takeaway about where things are at with Philadelphia? I mean, through all this history of what they were doing in this kind of like, musical chairs that they had with their draft picks, how did things shake out? And was there, in your opinion, and was there ever a time where you thought that maybe this team had made some bad decisions?
Well, the whole process period was frustrating, to be honest with you, as a fan. Anytime it seemed like there was a little step forward, it was unload what they have and stockpile more picks. And then when Hinkie was let go and they turned the reins over to the Colangelos, then the whole mindset shifted to the extreme in the opposite direction, where it was all about win now. And they made a kind of a in the moment trade when they brought in Jimmy Butler a couple of years ago and let a couple of really solid pieces go when they set Saric and Covington in that deal. So now they've kind of found, with Daryl Morey running the show, I think they found the kind of the happy medium where they're committed to their core with Simmons and Embiid, and not trading Simmons was the best. The non-trade trade was the best move that they could have made this year. I really was happy that they didn't send Simmons and a couple other assets and kind of stuck with this core and is allowing it to grow. Because I think they're a contender this year in the short run, and I think they're going to continue to add pieces and be a contender for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, and like you said, there was a frustration of having to go through it. How did you navigate those waters and stay a fan through it all when all the when it seemed like every time they were taking a step forward, okay, this is their future, okay, no, they're shipping their future, okay, they're changing it, they're bringing this in this veteran, they're letting him go. Like how ultimately frustrating was it for you? And did you come to a point where you had a love-hate relationship with the Sixers?
Well, I've been a Sixers fan pretty much straight through. I mean, from the days of Dr. J and whatnot. So, I've kind of followed them through that whole period. I guess the one exception in the mid-late 90s, I really didn't like where the franchise was going when, John Lucas era and all that. I thought there was about a 3 or 4 year period where I was really disgruntled. During the whole process tanking thing, I wasn't really on board with that, and it was tough to kind of endure as a fan and see the light at the end of the tunnel. But you just kind of going through that. They had a plan, and it was just as a fan, just trying to take the long view a little bit, which is hard to do in today's sports world.
Yeah, it is. It's really hard to take that patient view, especially in the microwave society that we live in currently. Taking a look outside of that matchup, I want to go to the other side of, in the West. Memphis took game 1. Utah took game 2. Utah's the 1 seed. Memphis is the 8. Memphis has, kind of been in the playoffs as that 7-8, usually the 8. I mean, they've been right there. They just make it. and they keep life interesting. What are your thoughts on the Utah series with Memphis?
Well, I think Utah is righted the ship. They got it even. They got they got Mitchell back, so they're a little more healthy. I still think that they've got too much for Memphis over 7 games. But I've been super impressed with Memphis. In the play-in, coming out of the play-in, and then in the in the way they started the series with Utah. I think that's a team. It's one of the youngest rosters in the NBA, if not the youngest roster. And I think Morant is establishing himself as a star in the making. And I really like where that team is headed. I think they're going to age and mature, and I think the coaching staff is going to age and mature too, because they've got a new and young coaching staff. So I think that's a team that is probably a couple years away from being a serious contender. But if they stay the course and keep adding pieces, you got to like where Memphis is heading.
Yeah, I mean, Dave, these balloon scores over time. I mean, 141 to 129. I mean, did you envision this when you became a basketball coach, that we would be looking at NBA games where a team scoring almost 150 points to win the game?
Well, I mean, there have been eras in pro basketball. I mean, it kind of ebbs and flows. There have been eras, and kind of the remnants of the old ABA. The game was more free flowing for a period of time and whatnot, and then it became more and more grind, especially in the postseason, and that culminated with kind of the bad boy Pistons era. I think is when that trend came to a peak. And then I think since then, the league has done, there's a couple things have happened. The league has done more and more to allow freedom of movement and allow players to play. Because personally, I think one of the silliest quotes in sports is letting them play when you don't call the whistle, or you don't blow the whistle. I think when you don't blow the whistle, you're not letting them play. You're penalizing a skilled player. So I think that the game has moved more and more in a pace and space direction partly because of how it's officiated, and largely because of people have really taken a deep dive into the analytics, and they've figured out that with the level of shooting in today's game, that threes and layups are the most efficient shots, and the mid game and the post game, across painting with a broad brush, is not as efficient. So some people enjoy the game that way, and some people wish the game was played more through the post like it was several years ago. So
yeah, and I'm looking at and it is. I mean, I would like to see the scores. I mean, I like 90 to 80, like gutted out. But, offense, I know college basketball wants to see it. The NBA has it and whatnot. To look at Memphis before we come off of this series, though, Jonas Valanciunas, I'm a little heartbroken in the fact that he was a Raptor. And, here he is in this game, 18 points in 30 minutes, 3 offensive, 3 defensive rebounds, 3 assists, a block. Where is Jonas Valanciunas in your mind right now? I mean, the man's played a bunch of years inside of professional basketball, and he has relevancy in the starting 5 for Memphis. What's your take on Jonas?
Yeah, I mean, he's a skilled guy, and he gives him like you said, I mean, he's an integral part of some really good Raptors teams, and kind of gives them a veteran presence and a guy they can kind of count on and play through. The tough thing he's got in this series is nothing's easy around the basket when you play Utah because of Gobert. Yeah. Gobert defensively, the 2 best defensive players in the NBA right now are Gobert and Ben Simmons for different reasons. Like, Gobert gives you nothing around the basket, and Simmons is the best perimeter defender in the league. So, when you play Utah, you have to understand that some of the things that you're going to get against a lot of teams, especially in today's NBA, who don't have that presence and that rim protection, you're not going to get those against Utah. So, and I think the thing that Utah has done Utah has always been, for the last several years, one of the best defensive teams in the NBA. I think one of the things that they've done is opened it up significantly offensively, and that's taken them from being a solid, in the mix team every year to being the team with the best record in the NBA. I think they've changed how they play offensively, and that's kind of supercharged what they do defensively as well.
Yeah. Speaking here with Dave Pasiak, taking a look around the NBA as we are in the first round of the playoffs here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside the Cafe Kubal Studios, with locations all throughout central and upstate New York, so that you have something right by you to grab your favorite cup of chai, tea, coffee, and go, as we, iced or hot, as well as all of their awesome sandwiches, their breakfast meals, and of course their desserts, the chocolate banana bread. To me, that's the thing, and the chocolate chip cookie for me as well. Staying in the West, Phoenix and the Lakers. The series is tied. Phoenix won the first one 99-90 at home. They lost the second 109-102 at home. Now the series heads to Los Angeles. Thoughts on Phoenix? Are they in trouble? What is your takeaway from the LeBron James, Andre Drummond, Anthony Davis, let's buy a team again, versus the Phoenix Suns? And, like you talked about Chris Paul being banged up a bit here, but, the Phoenix Suns last year played arguably the best in the bubble and didn't get anything for it, and then they carried it into this season and proved that wasn't a fluke. Is Phoenix in trouble, tied 1-1 as they head to LA?
Yeah, I think the first thing is you can't complain about the Lakers, bringing guys in and trying to buy a team when Phoenix goes out and grabs a guy like Chris Paul in the offseason. Everybody's trying to better their team. But, Phoenix, I think Phoenix is good. Phoenix is, like you mentioned, they're a team that really started to find themselves in the bubble, and they've carried that momentum into this year, and they added an outstanding veteran presence when they picked up Paul. So, I don't think anybody thought they were going to be this good, like 2 seed in the West, and maybe on the fringe of being a championship contender. But it's a tough draw for them, because the Lakers at full strength are, obviously much better than the 7 seed. But with LeBron missing the time that he has and Davis missing the time that he has, that's the way things fell. But, I think as far as this series, it's tough to pick against LeBron and the Lakers, just because of the experience factor across the board. And, LeBron, obviously multi-time champion. Anthony Davis, he's a guy that, when he was on teams as a lead dog, they tended to not have a ton of as much success as maybe people expected. But as a number 2 to LeBron, who's kind of in some situations the number 1, that's a tough duo to overcome. And they got some other veteran guys, Schroeder and Kuzma and Drummond, and that'll be. I think Phoenix, if the Lakers win 2 at home, as the series goes back to LA, Phoenix is obviously in a lot of trouble. I think if the Suns can manage to get a split out of LA and make it a 3-game series with 2 in Phoenix, who knows? Anything can happen at that point. I think it's going to be interesting to watch. If the Lakers do get out of this round, part of, one school of thought says that, now that they've got LeBron back playing and Davis and whatnot, that they're going to get better as the playoffs roll on, kind of for the same reason people think that about Brooklyn, is they'll just become more and more in sync with each other. But the flip side of that is there's a lot of mileage on those tires, and that team, that team won the NBA championship a year ago, and had the short turnaround into this season, and they're 2 core guys have dealt with injuries all year. So, the flip side of that is they could very well wear down the deeper off into the playoffs we go. So, that's going to be really an interesting thing to watch if the Lakers get out of there. But Phoenix has a fighting chance in that series. Phoenix is good. I mean, Devin Booker, I think, is one of the less heralded, really borderline superstar players in the league. He's an outstanding player. So, be interesting to see.
Speaking here with Dave Pasiak, NVU Linden Hornets men's basketball head coach and a long-time basketball coach in general and basketball analyst. You brought him up. I want to discuss him. He's in the starting five. He just scored 24 points in 34 minutes. He shot 50% from three and from the field. He had three rebounds, 3 assists, 1 turnover, but then he stole the ball back. Dennis Schroeder on the Lakers, the name that is not the household name. What are your thoughts on this gentleman? He's 7th season in the NBA. He was drafted in 2013 by the Atlanta Hawks. He was the 17th pick in the first round. What is your overall take on what he brings to the table? I mean, Dennis Schroeder, we focus on Anthony Davis, we focus on Andre Drummond and LeBron James and the rest of the team that has been put together in LA, but Dennis Schroeder taking care of business. He's starting five. He's the point guard. He is the guy that's trying to orchestrate things. What are your thoughts on him?
Yeah, Schroeder's always been a guy that, he'll have stretches or games where you think this guy's close to being a really elite player, and then other games where you're kind of wondering where it is. And, that's, I think, been one of the things with his career is he hasn't really been able to sustain the high level of play on a consistent basis. So, he's a guy, he's a key guy for them, in the past they have Rondo, who was like that veteran presence, and they're kind of looking to Schroeder for some of that this year. I think if he can play at a consistent level, and be that third guy, that along with, like you say, Drummond, Kuzma, some of those guys. But if they can get consistent and steady play out of him, that makes the Lakers a much, much more difficult challenge for people.
Yeah. Speaking here with Dave Pasiak inside the Cafe Kubal Studios on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora to head off to the other second seed, Brooklyn and Boston. Kyrie Irving is returning to Boston. There's times where I feel like Kyrie Irving's on drugs, and there's times where I feel like Kyrie Irving is a really good player, and there's times where I don't understand who he is. I have watched him play and enjoy. I mean, I enjoy it, but Kyrie Irving is it's like he wants to be a lightning rod. I started the show with Tim Tebow, where I don't think he wants to be like in the media with everybody talking about he believes in God and just like Tebowing and all this garbage. But Kyrie Irving just can't seem to like help himself from trying to be like a Kardashian. I don't know if you feel that way, Dave, but I'm exhausted of the Kyrie Irving show. I just want to see him play basketball, and I want to see what the Nets can do. What are your thoughts about him returning to Boston? Is it just me that thinks that he's obsessed with himself and loves to be a reality TV star? What's your take?
Yeah, I think he's clearly an enigma, but really talented player. But like he's always, he's a guy that always has to put himself in the limelight. I feel like. And I think last time we talked, we spoke a little bit about how Harden has really given up a lot of himself and his game.
He has to, Dave. You can't have two crazy people on the same team. So,
well, if you can, then it's a recipe for disaster.
Right.
So like Harden has like kind of sacrificed of himself, to make it work as a team. So, they are supremely talented as a team, obviously. They've got 3 of, the top, 10 or 15 players in basketball all on the floor. And the other 2 pieces are pretty good too. Griffin is not what he used to be, but he's a many-time All-Star, and Joe Harris is the ideal complement to those guys. So, but getting back to Irving, I think, there's clearly a lot of ego there, and he clearly brings a lot of drama with him. The way to overcome that is having overwhelming talent, which is really what the Nets have. I think if they fall short, it'll be interesting to see where, the court of public opinion places the blame. And I don't see Kyrie shouldering any of it himself. I think, the Boston series is over. The Celtics may be able to steal a game at home, but I think this one's over. It's, 4, maybe 5. But then the work's going to come because Milwaukee's very good. The Sixers are very good. Brooklyn's going to have to play. I think they're the most talented team in the East, but whether they're the best team or not remains to be seen.
Yeah, looking at the fact of, I do want to make a note of this because I think it's this that you talk about being an enigma. And let me clarify with what I was saying. You can have 2 crazy people on a team or more than one crazy person and not be successful. What I was saying was you can't have all of that on a team and be successful. The Celtics played 10 people off the bench. 10. This is like a nightmare for Jim Boeheim. This is like when he wakes up in a cold sweat at 3 o'clock in the morning. 10 people off the bench with 5 starters. And 8 out of 10 players scored. And they all played minutes. They all played at least 4 minutes. A bunch of them played double-digit minutes. What are your thoughts about how the Celtics' makeup is? Granted, they still lost to the Nets by 22, but having 10 players off the bench, all with at least 4 minutes or more, 5 of them with double-digit minutes, and 8 out of 10 players scoring off the bench.
Yeah, that's a little misleading because of how one-sided that game was. So, I wouldn't read a ton into that. But, Boston, I think right now the Celtics are searching as much as anything. Jaylen Brown he's clearly their second best player, and a lot of times he was their best player, this season, and he's gone for the rest of the playoffs. So I think that as much as anything, they're just searching and trying to figure it out. But at the end of the day, I think Brooklyn just has way too much talent for it. I wouldn't read a lot into the bench business other than it was a blowout the last game, and they're searching for some answers.
Okay, fair enough. Trying to find a Jason Tatum obviously had a rough night at 9 points in 21 minutes, atypical of him, of course. So you have to try and find it elsewhere. Going to the 3 and 6 seed matchups, Milwaukee's 2-0 over Miami, and as the series will head to Miami. And Denver is 1-1 against Portland, who took the first game, and the series will head to Portland. Thoughts on Milwaukee, Miami, and then Denver, Portland?
Yeah, both tough series. I think Milwaukee. The game 1 went to overtime. I think. Miami and Milwaukee, in my opinion, are 2 of the 4 best teams in the East, and it's just kind of quirky that it's worked out that they played each other in the first round because, Miami went to the finals last year, and they've got a deep, talented team, a championship level coach, great organization with a history and everything. I think that. Milwaukee has a little bit of a monkey on their back, and I think they go a long way towards removing that monkey if they close out the Heat this series. I think if the Bucks get a split in Miami, go up 3-1, then they're in a great spot, and the series is probably going to get closed out. If Miami is able to hold serve at home, then I think Milwaukee's got a little bit of a problem because some of the you're going to start to hear some of the rumblings of their past shortcomings in the playoffs. And, Miami will be in their head a little bit. So I think these next 2 games in Miami are really going to dictate which direction that series goes. You mentioned Portland and Denver. Denver is a team. It was remarkable how they held it together when Jamal Murray went down. It's another team that is dealing with a significant injury to one of their best players. I think that really hurt them in game 1, and not having Murray in general, I think limits their ceiling in the playoffs because, he's a guy that can go get you a basket when you need it. And so, Jokic has had a phenomenal year, and they're playing through him. I think that, this series with Portland finished strong at the end of the regular season. Another team with good guard play. Melo seems to have, taken a drink from the fountain of youth. So, so I think, this to me, that series has the makings of one that's, probably going to go 6 or 7 games. And I think with Denver being less than full strength, I think that series is a pick-up.
Yeah, and I think Portland is dangerous. I think they create that atmosphere where they don't feel like they're the lower seed by any stretch of the imagination. But Milwaukee had issues with Miami last year. Do you feel that they've figured it out, that they've learned it, that Giannis and the team know how to handle it this time?
Well, we're going to find that out the next couple games because, game one could have gone either way. And Middleton hit the big shot to win the game, and Milwaukee got out of there in overtime. Had Miami won that game, the Bucks would be in real serious trouble, I think, mentally as much as anything else. But game two was over from the jump. I was really surprised at how one-sided that game ended up being. But I don't think – I think the Bucks shot the ball at a level that's not sustainable. So, like we talked about, I think what happens these couple of games in Miami, whether it comes back 2-2 or, whether it comes back 3-1 Milwaukee, I think is a huge difference. If it comes back 2-2, then I think all the pressure shifts to the Bucks.
Yeah, and that's what we're looking at here as things go forward, as Miami knows what it's like to put them on their heels and take care of business. The number 4-5 matchups, Dave, to complete everything here in our look at the first round of the NBA playoffs with Dave Pasiak, NVU, Linden Hornets men's basketball head coach, as well as a longtime basketball analyst, and of course a super fan, I would say, of the game itself. We're inside of the Cafe Kubal studios here on Wake Up Call with Dave, and the Clippers and the Mavericks. Now, the Clip are the 4 seed, Dallas the 5 seed. These games were supposed to go to the Clippers. I'm not going to say supposed to, but they were at home. So, the Clippers have now dropped 2 at home, and now they got to go on the road to Dallas down 2-0. What's going on with LA?
Now that's a team that's in trouble. Going into the playoffs, a lot of the smart money, out there had Clippers-Lakers Western Conference Finals. And, I think the Clippers are in a ton of trouble. And I think that series, I think what you're seeing before your eyes is, Luka Doncic is establishing or confirming or reaffirming his status as one of the, 2 or 3 or 4 best players in basketball in the world today. He has been the story of that series, and he's clearly establishing himself at an elite level. I think the guy that's, Kawhi Leonard, Kawhi had a good game the other night. I think he needs to get a little help out there. It's going to be a tall order for the Clippers to go into Dallas, and they've got to win at least one to send it back to LA. And to go in there into Dallas and win 2, I think is a really, really tall order right now. I think if you're Dallas, you've got to feel really, really good about where they sit. And then, Utah looks a little vulnerable against Memphis. I think they're going to be okay. But, if Dallas gets out of that series, or whoever comes out of that series between Dallas and the Clippers, they got to feel like they got a legitimate chance of getting to the Western Conference Finals. So Porzingis to me for Dallas is the kind of the X factor guy. Luka's going to play great. If Luka and Porzingis play great, I think Dallas can play with anybody in the league. So that will be it'll be fascinating to see how the Clippers respond on the road.
Well, and the thing is, is it misplaced anger and kind of the wrong scapegoat to attack Kawhi Leonard, scoring 41 points in 41 minutes. I mean, him and Paul George together combined in this most recent loss to Dallas in Game 2, they combined to score 69 points. The rest of the starting five had 14 points amongst 3 players. 41 points in 41 minutes for Kawhi Leonard, yet he's catching some of the heat right now. Is that warranted?
Probably not. I mean, when you're the top dog, you get more of the credit and you get more of the blame. So, I mean, a little bit of it comes with the turf. I think, Kawhi has proven, through his career that he's he's a big money player in the big moments. So, I think any criticism he's getting is probably overblown and not warranted. I think the guy that really needs to, if the Clippers come up short, I think you're going to see more of the finger pointed at Paul George, depending on how the next few games go. But, I mean, Paul George is another guy who's, been a great player, but has come up not that strong in the playoffs on a couple of occasions. So, I think he's the guy that I think if things do go south all the way for the Clippers, that he'll probably catch more of the heat than Kawhi when it's all said and done.
Yeah, I mean, what was it? Charles Barkley that called him that was joking about playoff Paul, and they don't call him championship Charles. But I mean, looking at this scenario, the Clippers again. The Clippers the grass is not always greener on the other side. I mean, Kawhi had a great setup in Toronto, and things were good. I mean, for Serge Ibaka, who went over there with him, for goodness sakes, 2 points, played 6 minutes off the bench. But to go to the Knicks-Hawks matchup, the Knicks and the Hawks with 27.6 seconds left, 24.6 seconds left. It was 103 apiece, and the Knicks lost that game at home by 2. 107-105, and then they come back in Game 2 and win 101-92, so they were right there in Game 1. They win Game 2. What are your thoughts? Are the Knicks in trouble? Are the Hawks that dangerous as they head down to Atlanta? Or are the Knicks in good footing, and was that first game just them not being able to, close it out at the end in the last 20-some-odd seconds?
Well, I think you take the other view, too. The Hawks probably feel like they should be up 2-0 after blowing a 15-point lead last night. So that series to me has been maybe the most fun of the first round series to watch. I think it's a fairly evenly matched series, as you'd expect with a 4-5, and the games have kind of gone that way. And I think the other thing that makes it a fun series is I think that there's a real contrast in styles and contrast in the kind of the character and the makeup of the two teams. Atlanta, I think, is really skilled and has a lot of talented guys and guys that can make plays. In New York, I think maybe is not as skilled and maybe not as individually talented. But they hang their hat on just being on grinding and being physical and being a good defensive team. So I think the contrast in styles, styles make fights, and you get two heavyweights with contrasting styles usually get a great fight. And I think you're seeing that in this series. I think one of the things that I think is an X factor is, on the one hand, I think, I've not, historically not been a big Thibodeau fan, but I give him credit for getting the mileage that he has out of the Knicks this year. But that said, Thibodeau's track record sometimes is, he squeezes a few extra wins out of a team during the regular season by driving them hard, and then they don't have a lot left in the playoffs. So we'll see if that happens with the Knicks. On the other side, I think Nate McMillan, to me, is the most underrated coach in the NBA. He's a guy that I thought a couple different times deserved to be coach of the year, or at least in a discussion when he was in Indiana. And I think he's done a remarkable job flipping the Hawks this year from where they were when they fired Lloyd Pierce to where they are today. So, I think both of those, like the adjustments that both of those guys make, I think is going to be, pivotal in how the series plays out. But that's been, like I said, of all 8 series, that, just purely as a fan and watching the games, I think that's been really a fun watch and entertaining watch, whether you have a dog in that fight or not.
And yeah, I mean the excitement of that. I mean, I was on Long Island watching people. They were at the beach, inside watching the game instead of like being out with the live music on the beach. They were just sitting there watching the game. So one note I want to make before we let you go, Dave, is Derrick Rose, the reemergence of a 2008 draft pick out of Memphis, 26 points in 39 minutes off the bench for the Knicks, 9 of 21, 2 of 3 from three-point, 6 of 6 from the charity stripe, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, only 1 turnover in the game. What is the Derrick Rose factor?
Well, he's a former MVP, so I mean, he's clearly a guy who's capable of playing at a really high level. I honestly thought that he deserved a lot of consideration for Sixth Man of the Year. I know he was one of the final 3, but he's kind of. And you saw it coming a little bit. He was in Minnesota last year, and you saw him starting to reemerge a little bit. And I think there's been some outside distractions, and both health issues and some other outside issues that have to a degree derailed his career over the years. But he seems to have found a niche. And it's interesting too. I mean, he's a guy that clearly clicks with Thibodeau. He had his best years and his MVP years in Chicago under Thibodeau, and then he's done well with him in New York. So I think what he gives the Knicks is that veteran guy, on what's otherwise a fairly young roster. Most of their key guys, and I think he's also. The Knicks have a couple other guys, the Nerlens Noels of the world and whatnot. They've got a couple other guys. And Randall was another guy that has really elevated his game. So I think Rose kind of fits into that, the Knicks being the house of second chances.
Yeah.
And I think he fits right into that, and he gives them that veteran presence who's been at an elite level at earlier points in his career.
When you said the House of Second Chances, I don't know why, but the song "The King of Wishful Thinking" played through my head. So, I mean, maybe it is with the Knicks, and the hope. It's tied 1-1. They're heading down to Atlanta. We'll see what they could do from here. For that, Dave Pasiak, a tremendous job today bringing us around the entire NBA, 16 teams, all in one conversation, and doing it as only Dave can, which is seamlessly and analytically, and really just providing, if you literally watched none of the games and knew nothing, he gives you an update on everything. I mean, it's a perfect way to jump into the playoffs, which is why I love having Dave on the show. So with all of that being said, Mr. Pasiak, I appreciate your friendship more than anything, and I appreciate you, as always, for spending some time here on the show with me.
Well, it's great to talk to you again, and great to break down the playoffs, and let's do it again soon.
Yeah, Dave, I'm gonna keep you around. There's a lot more to come. We're only in the first round here, so you're gonna have to get your chops ready. Drink some lemon water and be prepared to come on Wake Up Call more often.
Yeah, no, I look forward to it. I think NBA playoffs. I love them every year. I think the way their teams adjust from game to game, to me, is fascinating, and I think that it's perhaps the most legitimate championship in sports because the better team does emerge after 7 games. So
it's great, and I love hearing that. So if you haven't watched the playoffs, folks, they're on. Get into it, and you just got an update from Dave. We'll be sharing this on all of our platforms, so you can go back and listen to it on Podbean, Stitcher, Spotify, YouTube, iTunes, and so on and so forth, iHeartRadio. So as always, Dave, thank you, and I look forward to talking with you soon.
Talk to you soon, Dan. Have a great Memorial Day weekend.
All right, you too.
Thanks.
That coming from Dave Pasiak, one more time, where sports meets that thing called life. Inside the Cafe Cubal Studios. Take a step aside and wrap up the show right after this.
Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvelite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carvalanche, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvelite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
Cafe Cabal offers same-day local delivery of our products, offering no delivery charge for Onondaga County. Shop cafecabal.com for fresh roasted coffee beans, cold brew, travel mugs, and all your essential Cafe Cabal needs. Cafe Cabal, coffee for the soul.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant. Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora on wakeupcalldt.com, your one-stop sports shop, and on mixlr.com/wakeupcalldt, where you're listening live all throughout the world. You're watching and listening live all throughout the world on facebook.com/livenowdt, facebook.com/wakeupcalldt, and on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time, making it easy, keeping it simple for you here. It's basically Wake Up Call DT. If you search that, you'll find us. mixlr.com/wakeupcalldt, facebook.com/wakeupcalldt, as well as with Live Now DT, and youtube.com/wakeupcalldt, as well as wakeupcalldt.com. Once the shows go live, you can find them in the archive, and we'll be adding a bunch of stuff for you this week on Stitcher, MixLR, Spotify, YouTube, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts. Tune in, Podbean, and iHeartRadio simply by searching Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. And a special thanks and much love to Cafe Cabal, Carvel DeWitt, the Wildcat Sports Pub, Chick-fil-A Cicero, and Chick-fil-A Clay, Avicoli's, Victory Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, Canine Camp Dog Daycare, Pizza Man, Canine Campground Dog Boarding, PB&J's Lunchbox, Honda City of Liverpool, Millhouse Market, and Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. Head off to maandpazpopcorn.com and use the promo code DT20 for 20% off anywhere in the country. So go to maandpazpopcorn.com and use the promo code DT20. Thank you to my guests, Papa Joe and Dave Pasiak. Thank you to you. Thank you to God above all things. And thank you to the beautiful, beautiful opportunity part of the show. And I really do appreciate all that you do to be a part of Wake Up Call. So I'll talk with you all soon. I hope you have a fantastic day and truly take care of yourselves and just be good. So my best to each and every single one of you. Have a good day. Be safe. Be well. And as always, God bless. No stress. Do your best. I'll talk with you soon.